These ingredients are killing your dog. Today we're going to do a deep dive into dog food, and I'm talking about ingredients not just linked to cancer, I'll cover those, but a lot of other problems as well. Starting with the first ingredient right here, ground whole grain corn, like corn on the cob, right? That's not the type of corn we're talking about. It's not sweet corn. It's a very specific type of corn called Dent Corn or field corn, which is super starchy, and they feed it to cattle, but they also put it in dog food. Now, the first thing you need to know is the first ingredient is probably the majority of those ingredients. So they're putting a lot of this corn in there. And so you're getting this very low quality subsidized corn, which means the taxpayers end up paying for a good majority of it. But it's not organic corn. It's going to be GMO corn, genetically modified corn, which means it's going to have traces of glyphosate, which also has been linked to cancer. That's an herbicide. And that corn could be sitting somewhere for over a year, accumulating a very deadly aflatoxin, which has been known to cause cancer in the liver and different parts of a dog's body. But to me, what really jumps out is your dog consuming a refined corn product as probably the majority of that product. And what is that going to do to the blood sugars? I mean, think about it. They feed this to cattle. What happens to cattle when they feed all this grain? They get acidosis. Cattle has never been meant to consume that much grain, let alone dogs. So you're going to put dogs on this highly refined starch, which basically is hidden sugar. What's really interesting about that is they don't list any sugar or starch or carbs on the label. That is a loophole. When you look at any label of food, it'll come with this thing called the nutritional facts, okay? And that lists how much carbohydrate and sugar. Well, guess what? In dog food, they don't have to list it. They don't tell you how much sugar or carb that's in that product. But the amount of carbohydrates in an average bag of dog food is literally 48%. Number two, meat and bone meal. Sounds healthy for a dog, but what is the actual quality of the meat meal or bone meal? Well, they call it the 4 Ds, okay? Because the source of where they're getting that meat could come from dead animals, dying animals, diseased animals, or disabled animals. I'm talking about roadkill, zoo animals, even pets, like other dogs that have been euthanized. They use an injection to kill the dog for some reason, and then that ends up in the dog food. And the common drug that they use to kill these animals is called pentobarbital, and they're finding that drug in a high percentage of certain types of dog food. As long as they kill the pathogens, the microbes, it's legal. So basically, they're going to take these animals and they're going to cook them at very high temperatures. And that's called rendering. Well, first of all, yes, you're killing the pathogens, but you're also killing everything else in there too. Any potential nutrition, whether it's organ meats or whatever, like it's just wiping that out. Number 3, soybean meal. First of all, a dog is never meant to consume soybeans, okay? And it's not just fermented soybeans that you would get from a Japanese restaurant. You're getting a highly processed GMO, has been through hexane, which is a solvent, a chemical that's in gasoline. They have to use that to extract the protein. So you end up getting this highly refined, very incomplete protein. And certain phytonutrients in soy can affect the thyroid. It can affect testosterone. If your dog is pregnant, that can affect the offspring to a certain degree. And then number 4, animal fat. That sounds pretty okay for an animal, right? Animal fat, dogs will love that. But when you actually read on the label, it'll say animal fat and then parentheses, a source of omega-6 fatty acids. I'm like, wait a second, that's a red flag. Animal fat is mostly saturated fat. The fact that they emphasize it was very strange to me. So I looked it up and this is what I found. Legally, they can also stick in with the animal fat, wherever that came from, seed oils. Not from this cold expeller pressed organic seed oils. I'm talking about the seed oils that have been highly oxidized from restaurants. And then they have to preserve it with something called BHA or BHT. Well, these also are known carcinogens, and they're banned in Europe, but they're okay to sell in the US. Like here's a good one right here. Whitefish herring meal, whitefish meal, source of glucosamine with chondroitin sulfate. Okay, peas, lentil, that's fine. I'm not crazy about the canola oil. Dried ground potatoes, okay, fine. Dried plain beet pulp, flaxseed, salmon meal, that's much better than the soybean meal. Pea fiber, okay. Natural flavor, dried chicory root.